What you're looking at here is a dream realized. I say this because Christine and I literally spent years honing our idea of what our version of the perfect Overland vehicle build might look like. Topping our list of demands was that whatever it was, it must be compact and light enough to take us down tight trails, leading to the remote places we love to explore. At the same time though, we wanted some very important creature comforts you wouldn't typically associate with a compact, lightweight camper. Additionally, an incredibly quick setup time was hugely important to us, as was having a comfortable place to escape to and live in during foul weather. Ultimately, we wanted something that truly felt like an adventurer's home away from home. And this, well, it's all of those things. And in this video, I'm going to do something that so many of you have been asking for ever since we got this brand new to us canopy camper, and that is give you a full walk around and tour outside and in. And so I suppose the place to start before we get into the tour is talking about what we're looking at here. So this is an Alu Cab Canopy Camper. Now, Alu Cab is a company based out of South Africa, and I think they've been around since about the year 2000. And in that time, they have earned a reputation of building some of the best and most tough and durable overland gear on the market. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the tour. And I want to start by discussing everything that is on the exterior of this camper, because there is a lot of cool stuff to talk about. And I should note, in terms of the design of this, it's a wedge style camper, which have become incredibly popular. I think Alu Cab was one of the first brands to do it, but now they are everywhere. But I think Alu Cab still does it the best, and I will explain why throughout this video. The other thing to note here is that this whole thing is aluminum, which helps keep the weight down, and hence the name Alu Cab. Now, the first thing I want to show you on the exterior of the camper, well, it's pretty obvious. You can see I have set up the awning, and I did that, well, for one reason and one reason only. It is really hot and really sunny, and we have no shade. So I was roasting and I needed a little bit of shade, but this awning is amazing. So this is Alu Cab's shadow awning. It's a 270-degree freestanding awning. It's incredibly easy for one person to set up and tear down. And the best part about it is, well, it's freestanding. You don't have to drop legs and stake things in and things like that unless it's really windy, and that is so nice. It makes camp setup that much faster, and you can see just how much shade this gives off. Just a few things that I want to show you with this awning that are pretty neat. First is this little piece here, which pops up like this, and this is really clever because what this does is it just raises the awning up a little bit, and so if you are in rainy conditions, it allows the water to bead off the awning so you don't get pools of water, which I've always had problems with on other awnings that I have. And then if it is windy, there is a single pole. The nice thing with this is it's built right into the awning. And so all you do is just slide it out of there, drop it down, and now you have a pole and you can stake that in. Also, if it's really windy, you also have the option of using some guy wires, which are also kind of tucked up into the awning at either side. So again, this is super nice, and it's all together and compact. You don't have to deal with other bags or anything like that. So really, really, really like this awning. On the same side of the camper as the awning is another thing that Christine and I absolutely love, and that is this table right here, which takes up no usable space, and it is a massive table. And it's so nice to have something like this because it is super quick to set up. It's a huge prep surface or cooking surface, and it's gone gas struts, which is pretty awesome. So this has been something we really, really love. And then just like pretty much every camper on the market, I don't think it's very unique to the Alu Cab. Of course, you have the doors on each side, which give you good access inside camper. Now, for probably the most interesting part of the exterior of the camper, and that would be the rear door. And the rear door is something that really separates this camper apart from almost every other camper on the market. I'll explain why in just a minute. But first, a few of the things that we have back here that you're probably looking at. The first is we've got a 10-pound propane tank right here, and this is on an Expedition Essentials mount. It is lockable, and so it's nice and secure. And this is great because we use this not only to cook off of, but we also use it for our fireplace. Yes, we have a fireplace. Maybe you saw the chimney. That's probably my favorite thing about the camper. I'll talk more about that when we get to the inside. Of course, the other thing that is great about the Alu Cab Canopy campers is that you can mount up to a 33-inch spare tire on the rear door, which means we don't have to deal with the tire underneath. And of course, you can see we have our Max Tracks and our Trasharoo mounted to the back here. This is another really nice thing. And that is all a product of the fact that instead of retaining the factory tailgate like just about every other canopy camper does, this one replaces it with a rear door. This was a huge deal for us because for Christine, she has really, really bad dust allergies. And our friend Corey, who's got a Go Fast camper, every time we get to camp, there's just dust all over the place inside his camper. And we were like, that is not gonna work. With the Alu Cab, since it has a proper sealed rear door, we've had no issues at all with dust intrusion. Everything stays nice and clean inside. And so that is a huge, huge benefit. Also, you don't have to climb over a tailgate. So a lot of big benefits with the rear door area here. Just a few other things to point out. We do have a backup camera. I don't know what brand backup camera this is, but it is really, really helpful since it's pretty hard to see here when you're backing up. Otherwise, it's just wired into the factory head unit of the stereo in the cab. The third brake light is right here. And we do have MOLLE panels on either side. So of course, on this side, we have the propane mount on the MOLLE panel. And on this side, well, to be honest, the MOLLE panel is kind of useless because when you swing the door open, it basically contacts the MOLLE panel. So we can't really put anything there. But yeah, and then I mentioned the fireplace. So I think that pretty much wraps up the exterior of the camper. So let's go inside, and really excited to show you what we got going on in there. To get into the camper, it's a very simple process. Alu Cab just uses this little latch mechanism, and there's a hole here for a padlock. So if you're wondering how we lock this up, it's really just done with a padlock. And so all you need to do to open this is just push up on this latch, pull out, it disengages these little locks right here, and you can open the camper. And now that the door is open, we can pop the top on the camper, and that is super simple to do. Just step up here, it's just 2 latches, so you're just gonna undo the 2 latches, and then it does take a little bit of force initially before the struts engage, but once they do, it will pretty much lift itself up. And then there's this little black cord here, and this is just to help the tent material kind of suck itself in when you're bringing the tent back down. So you can kind of just bring that down towards the bottom, and now your tent is set up. Now, when we first climb in the camper, you'll see these 2 panels right here. And this is how you gain access to the bed. So you have a smaller panel that lifts right up here, and then you have your main sleeping platform right here. And this is another huge benefit of the Alu Cab, because instead of having panels that you have to move, this whole platform is on struts. And so you can lift it up, and when you do, you have a ton of area to stand in here. So now that I'm in here, I'm gonna switch cameras and give you a tour of the inside. And welcome to the inside of the camper. And when I say it's spacious in here, look how tall this is. I can't even touch the top. And for a 5-foot bed, it feels a lot more spacious than you would think. I think partly because this area here over the cab of the truck kind of becomes usable space. And so if you need to stand up and change or even ride out some bad weather in here, you can definitely do that. We've got a lot of windows. We've got 3 windows, 1 on each side, and then 1 in the center here, which is closed. So you get a lot of natural light. You can really see out really well. And then let me show you the situation with the sleeping platform and kind of the upstairs of the camper. You just pull this down. This is, as I mentioned, the main sleeping platform. Now I am 6'2", and this area is kind of just long enough for me while still leaving this other platform up, which is nice because that means that if Christine or I need to get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom, we don't have to disturb each other. I will say it is a little bit tight, and if I do put this other side down, I do get a lot more space to kind of spread out, but there is enough with just the platform. Another thing to note up top, we have these storage pockets, which are quite nice. And then there's also, I haven't talked about the lighting yet, but there's lighting all throughout the camper. What's nice about the Alu Cabs is even if you just get the base spec of the Alu Cab with nothing inside, it comes with all the lighting. And so there's a bunch of lights. They're on the side doors, they're on the back door, they're up here, they're everywhere, which is really, really nice. I should also mention the sleeping situation that we have because we upgraded this. Now, the mattress that came with the Alu Cab wasn't necessarily anything wrong with it, but it wasn't the most comfortable mattress ever. And so we ran into Hest at Overland Expo Pacific Northwest. We spent some time sitting and laying on their mattresses, and we're like, this is really comfortable. And so we upgraded to a Hest mattress. This particular one is their dually long. It's like 3 inches. It is the most comfortable camp sleep that Christine and I have ever had. And as you can see, it basically fits this space absolutely perfectly. So if you have an Alu Cab, a Hest dually long mattress is really what you want. Speaking of lights, another kind of cool little hidden feature up here is when the bed is down, or up, but generally when it's down, each side has access to a little reading light, which can be red or white, which is nice. And then there's also in here a couple of USBs and 12-volt outlets. So you can charge your devices at night while you sleep and read a book or whatever and kind of not disturb your partner. So just nice little touches like that are some of the things that I think really sets the Alu Cab apart. Now I'm gonna raise this sleeping platform up again just so that we have more room here in the camper as we continue the tour. And I think the next thing to talk about is really all of the storage that's found throughout here. So this is the front bulkhead, and we have, this is from Alu Cab. This came with the camper, this storage solution, which you can fit a ton of stuff in here. We've got like all of our bug spray. You can see the Morphlate inflator that we've got there. I've got some recovery gear up here. We've got some stuff for like campfires and things like that over here. So we're able to put a lot here. Now I will say one upgrade that we are going to do is there's a 13-gallon water tank that fits right here. And so I do think we are going to add that as well. By far the star of the show when it comes to storage in the camper is this Goose Gear cabinetry. Now this came with the camper when we bought it, and I am so grateful that it did. This is not an inexpensive setup, and I don't know if we would have gone with Goose Gear had we bought a camper shell. But that being said, I am really, really happy that this one had it, and of course somebody else paid for it to be built. So I might as well give you a little bit of a walkthrough of what we have in these drawers and how we kind of organized everything. And let's start with the Goose Gear drawers here. So we have 2 drawers here, and these are incredibly nice. The top one here, this is basically just a catch-all, kind of our junk drawer, I guess, if you will, and it kind of changes from trip to trip. The bottom one, which is the larger of the 2 cabinets, this is our pantry. So this has all of our spices in it, our coffee, and just kind of general miscellaneous food and snacks and things like that. So really, really handy. And even though this sticks out a little bit further than the rest of the cabinetry, it doesn't really rob that much room. And that's the great thing about this Goose Gear setup. Everything lives on the perimeter, but there's still room to really stand up and walk around in here. Even for 2 people, for Christine and I, we can both be in here at the same time. And then on the other side, we have these top access storage cubbies. And so these kind of fit in the wheel well areas, which is nice. It's kind of an unusable space otherwise, and you'd be surprised at how much stuff you can fit in here. We just kind of have some general kitchen stuff in this one. In this one, I have my recovery gear bag and kind of all of my recovery gear in this, which is nice. And then the thing I really love, probably more than anything else storage-wise in here with the Goose Gear, is this bulkhead panel. So this bulkhead panel, if I move the cover out of the way, this fits a ton of stuff. So we have our scuttle in here, we have a 5-gallon Jerry, we have our blanket, our extra blankets, our pillows, we put our camp chairs back here. There is a ton of room for things here. And the nice thing with this bulkhead panel is you can make it bigger or smaller. So you can slide it forward or backward on this track to give yourself more or less room depending on what you need. So this is kind of like where all the big stuff goes in the camper. And it's nice because it has a home and it's not in the way of anything. And then lastly, on the other side, we have the last of the kind of wheel well top load storage. And this is where kind of all of our bathroom stuff lives, as well as some emergency snacks, backup stuff, some extra food, things like that. So again, it's nice because everything has a home here. And so I think that pretty much covers the storage inside here, and it's this storage system that is Christine's favorite thing about this camper. But now I want to show you my favorite thing about this camper, and that is the fireplace. Yep, the Dickinson Marine fireplace. So this runs off of propane. It runs off that 10-pound propane tank that we have on the outside of the camper, and this little fireplace puts out a surprising amount of heat. We've used it a handful of times now in some cold weather up in the mountains to take the chill off before we go to bed or when we wake up in the morning. And there was one night we actually ran that thing
all night long, and it ran all night, kept us warm, and it really just sips propane. So apparently, I don't know how many hours you can use this for off a 10-pound tank, but it's way more than you would think when I looked it up. And maybe I'll put something down below if I can find that information. It's all very easy to operate. There's a switch here to turn the fan on, and then you can control your fan speed with this dial here. And then with this dial, this is how you turn the propane on, kind of regulate the flow, whether you want more or less flame, hotter or not as hot. And then to light it, you just open this up, and then you basically just put a stick lighter in there, light the pilot light, and then you've got a flame and a fire, and that is just something that is maybe a little bit of a novelty, if I'm honest, but I don't care. It's my favorite thing. Having a fireplace in a camper is going to open up so many possibilities, especially for cold weather and winter camping, and I am so ready for that. On the other side, back wall of the camper, we have kind of our whole electrical setup here. And the way that this camper is set up, it just has 120 watts of solar on the roof of the camper, and that is running through this charge controller, and it's charging the starter batteries. And we can monitor that right here. And then down here, we have this panel here. This is a master switch for all of our power back here, our lights and things like that. We can monitor the voltage of the battery as well right here. And then we have a couple of USBs and a 12 volt right here. So while we don't have a big elaborate power system or red arc or anything like that back here, honestly, haven't really found the need for it yet. When we do need extra power back here, we want to cook or something like that, let's bring one of our power stations and we'll put that in the back here, and then we can use it to charge things or whatever. But with the USBs, we can still charge things back here. It's been fine, and it's nice having the solar charging the starter battery, because it means that we really don't have to worry about waking up to a dead battery for the most part. So that's pretty much it for inside. I do need to show you what's on the inside of the back door though, so let me show you that next. And there is quite a lot going on the inside of the back door here as well. First thing you probably notice is this table from GP Factor. It's probably gonna be a little bit hard to do with one hand, but basically you just drop this down and you've got your table, but then you also have this cutting board that slides out. So we love to use this for a prep surface. It's really nice to have. Up above that, we have two MOLLE panels. On this MOLLE panel, we've got basically all of our kitchen utensils and cups and things like that in here, which is perfect. This fits perfect on this MOLLE panel. I will link the brand of this in the description below. So if you're curious, I'll link that below. On the other MOLLE panel, we have a paper towel roll that is, well, just held up by bungees, so it's our kind of simple solution right now. And then below that, we have some bear spray and just a general camp towel. Other thing to note here that I haven't mentioned yet is this little latch right here, because sometimes I think people wonder, can you lock yourself in at night? And the answer is yes, you lock yourself in with that latch, so you don't have to worry about somebody coming into your camper while you're sleeping, which I suppose is a good thing. So there it is, a full tour of the outside and the inside of our Alu Cab Canopy Camper. I cannot overstate how incredible this thing is. And for Christine and I, it has made camping so much easier, especially on trips where we just want to get out for a quick day, or we're going different places every day. So to set up and to tear down, it is just so much easier. It is the true definition, buying this fully built out as we did, of buy once, cry once. But the nice thing is we bought it and now we're out enjoying it. We don't have to outfit it. It has already been done. This canopy camper, by the way, is about 5 years old, and it is so well built. It still feels like new in here. I hope that this is going to last us for the next 10 years. But anyway, just couldn't be more excited about the possibilities that this is going to open up, especially for getting out further and longer, because that is a goal of ours, to stay out for longer, maybe a week or two at a time, maybe even get Starlink and work remote. So we'll see where this thing takes us, but for now, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all your support. Hope you enjoyed this walk around, and we'll see you in the next one.